All right. Let's try that again, ladies and gentlemen. Hi, it's me, Bob Doyle, and I'll prove it any second now. Okay, here we go. Well, it's Wednesday, Law of Attraction Q&A right here on Facebook Live where the fans pour in by the thousands. So if you're just watching this and you didn't watch the first one, we had a false start. On many levels, actually. So first of all, let me refresh my page so I'm looking at this broadcast, the correct one, not the one that was truncated, if you will, quickly. All right. So we got a few people in the room here. Thanks for being here. Say hello, please, so I can chat back and forth with you, because that's really what the fun of this thing is to say hello to all of you who are watching. Yeah, so, ha 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 ha. You might be wondering what happened there. So let me just tell you. This morning, I was washing my Bob Doyle coffee mug. Just hand washing it, because I don't put it in the dishwasher or anything like that. Because, I want it to last for a really long time, and I don't want the colors to fade and, all of that. So, as I was washing it, just in my hand, holding it in my hand, the handle broke off. Right in my hand. I was like, whoa. This is a Bob Doyle show mug. So I grabbed some glue. Well, I wrote Zazzle immediately and said, dudes, what's the deal? Can we get this replaced or what? Still waiting to hear back from them. And then I glued it, and it's been glued. It had been set there for several hours, and so I thought, well, I'm going to use the mug on the Law of Attraction broadcast. I'll just hold it. I won't hold it by the handle, And I held it by the handle without thinking about it in front of you on that last broadcast, and it broke again and spilled coffee everywhere, all over my new everything, my new whole broadcast setup. Laptop, piano keyboard, microphone, USB, everything. Saturated with some of the most delicious coffee that you can buy. The carpet is now enjoying that coffee, as is this towel that I grabbed quickly to clean up the mess. But did I let that stop me from doing the broadcast? Well, I did have to stop the broadcast because clearly I couldn't just let that puddle of coffee continue to take over all of my stuff, right? So, had to stop, and now I'm back. Oh, it's okay. Thank you, Reiki. Reiki Rain, I don't believe I've seen you here on these Law of Attraction broadcasts before, but I sure would like to know where everybody is. Normally, we have a much healthier crowd in here, every Wednesday, very consistently. I even send out reminders. I'm just not sure what's going on there. Because it's really no fun for me. I mean, look, I could put out videos all the time. Just, crank out videos and say, here, static one-way video. Here, static one-way video. Well, what fun is that? Well, it's some fun, but not nearly as much fun as talking back. And there's Melanie. I hope nothing was damaged, too. I don't think it was. I mean, we're still broadcasting. Everything seems so dry now. And there's Brian. Hi from Chicago. How is it in Chicago? I'm telling you, it's here in Marina Del Rey. It is freaking hot for Marina Del Rey. Now, anybody from like Atlanta or the East where it's, 95 degrees and humid would come out in here and say, Bob, what are you complaining about? And I would not have a valid answer. Hello, Shane. Oh, it's Lorraine. Oh, no, I'm so sorry to hear that. I thought the picture looked a little familiar, maybe. Hello, Pauline. So anyway, yeah, I spilled coffee. I don't remember what I was saying now. I got derailed again. Anyway, I'm glad to have you here. We do this every Wednesday at noon Pacific. We talk about Law of Attraction related stuff. Sometimes I come in with a topic. Sometimes I just throw it out to your questions and answers. Your questions are always answered. Yes, here they all come. They're stampeding in. See, it wasn't meant to happen the first time. If I'd had a full room and I spilled coffee and had to stop, that would have been a bummer. Hello, Dawn. Okay, I think that the nameplate is getting a little old. It's just spinning in and out all the time. And as I was saying before, I was trying to make it do that before programmatically, and it wouldn't do it, and now it won't stop. Anyway, here we are. As you can see, your questions and comments are displayed for all to see. And if you were to tweet this broadcast out into the tweetosphere, whatever they call it, with the hashtag Bob Doyle LOA, it would appear here. That's all in the description of this video, by the way. You can scroll up and click that link, and all sorts of wonderful things can happen. Like you can be notified when I go live, like a lot of people were. Not exactly sure where they all are, but whatever. And look, I know that if you watched the background here for 7 seconds, or however long it is, it does that just now. It jumps. I know it's not a smooth loop. Look, this was last minute. Because Lynn wanted me to film out the outside of our apartment, and I didn't have a tripod because it's holding virtual reality equipment right now, and blah, 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 blah. So I'm using stock footage. Oh, and I forgot the sound effects of the stock footage to give it even more realism. So I don't know where it is, why I don't hear it. There it is. All right. So welcome. Wow. All right, any questions? All right, look. This week I have a few just sort of random things to throw at you. I really did. I just came in here with little tiny tidbits of things to discuss. And if you're not into discussing, I will just talk at you about them. But let's hope that you are ready to discuss. This is a little tip that I have incorporated into my life that helps me tremendously. If you ever wake up and you feel kind of overwhelmed with the things you got to do that day, making to-do lists and stuff, that's a big thing for me. And I always like that sense of accomplishment of crossing off the to-do list. Anybody else do that? Make a to-do list of all the things you have to do today? And then just take great joy in crossing them off as you do them? And then how many people will actually think of something else they have to do it, then add it to the list just so they can cross it off? Come on, it's not just me. I'm not talking any further until one of you admits that you do that. One of you, 3 or 4 people. What happened? What happened to the dream? What happened when people from The Secret were treated like royalty? I'm teasing. If it's a quaint little gathering here, it's a quaint little gathering here, and that's totally fine. You've done that too. Yeah, you got to, because then you want to be able to say, yes, and I did. This isn't all I did. I did all these other things too. And sometimes I'll put just like the littlest minutia, like close the door on the list so I can cross it off. It's kind of like that manifestation technique we talked about a few weeks ago about visualizing something you're about to do and then doing it, so it trains your brain to know that, hey, when I visualize something, it gets done. You don't do that. Shane, really? Thank goodness, Ryan. Now we can get started. Let's all excuse Ryan for being a little late. I'm sure it was traffic. Or maybe he spilled his coffee too. I am sweating like crazy today, guys. I think it's because, I think a lot of it's because of the false start. You know how something goes wrong and you just kind of go, and then I think also I didn't need to be drinking coffee anyway, which I think is another reason that the universe said, we're just going to break the mug. I don't know why the universe said that. It's my mug, my Bob Doyle Show mug. Broken. I was going to show you a picture, but it's not necessary. I'll do that on the Bob Doyle Show. But anyway, the point is about the to-do list. So I started to feel like some of the things on your to-do list are, you just don't want to do them, right? And it's like, those things, and you put them on the list. I've made this sort of a shift in the way that I'm looking at the to-do list, and I'm just inviting you to try it on. Because as much as we celebrate the checking off of the the things that we've done when we do them, we enjoy that. This is what instead of calling it a to-do list now, I'm calling it something else. I'm calling it I don't have a formal name for it, but it's the things I'll feel freaking awesome about when they're done at the end of the day list. Meaning that there's a to-do list. Let's say there's 15 items on there. You may or may not get them all done. But let's say that 10 of those items, if you get those 10 done by the end of the day, you will feel awesome. Like you'll feel like, you know what? I know I didn't get those other 5, but I got those 10. And I feel like, in other words, you can go to sleep at night feeling complete. You don't have to worry that you didn't do enough. Like that you should have done more. Like calling an okay end to your workday. Because like I know that for me as an entrepreneur, and then there's other people who just think like this or have this mentality anyway. You just feel like you have to keep doing and keep doing and keep doing, or somehow you're falling behind, or it's not enough. You're not doing enough. If you're not doing anything, you're not doing enough. And I know that Lynn and I have both fallen into that trap a lot over the past few years, and I'm turning my back on that way of living. Because you have to have a life. You're doing all that stuff so you can enjoy your life. So let's take a little time to enjoy that life. So that Natty is here. Well, thanks, Natty. You're amazing too. I just know it. But yeah, so that whole thing of letting yourself off the hook at the end of the day. Because I'm telling you that stress of, I didn't do enough, I could have done more, or, I didn't get that. That stress is a slow burn to your vibration. See how I tied it into the law of attraction? That's what I do here. But it is. Okay, Cortana just heard me say something. Cortana is the Windows 10 version of Siri, and I think it's wanting me to give it an instruction. I'm not going to tell you to do anything, so stop listening to me. It's just so that at the end of the day, you can really truly celebrate what you did get accomplished, because you established at the beginning of the day, at the end of this, if I get these done, I will feel awesome. I'll feel great. I'll feel totally complete. And that's the best way I can say it. Because that feeling of going to sleep at night and with your head still spinning about, I didn't get that thing done, that is brutal. Over time, it's brutal. And then you wake up with that vibration of, now I've got to do more. And it's a trap. It's a vibrational trap, and it will keep you limited, and it will keep you away from realizing your vision. Rubbish at praising yourself. Well, this is a nice little technique, because it's really just acknowledging the accomplishments that you've done that day. If you have a hard time saying, I am amazing, you can at least say, well, I got that done today, and that's good. And then maybe you can work your way up to feeling amazing. Diane! It's hard for perfectionists, I know, to look at what's been accomplished rather than those things that weren't done. Yes, I know that. Believe me, I spent a fair number of years as a perfectionist. And I live with one who's even more so than me. And it makes me really realize, okay, I don't do that anymore. It's too much work, and the payoff for trying to be perfect on everything isn't worth the work. Now, I'm not saying, that I don't try to do my best on things and all of that. But there's a point where it is good enough. Because for a perfectionist, it will never be perfect. You might have a moment of going, perfect. And then if one person looks at it sideways, you're going, it's not perfect. What did I do? What could I have done? It's a terrible trap to perfectionism. And, but I don't have to tell you that. Any perfectionist knows that it's a curse. Because there's pride in a job well done, and then there's perfectionist, where you don't allow yourself to appreciate your accomplishments like everybody else does. Everybody else says, that's a beautiful piece of music, that's a beautiful piece of art, good job on that, whatever. And you go, yeah, well, it could be better because, well, I didn't really have the color right there, or I missed that, right? You don't even get to enjoy your own creation. And let me tell you, I don't even have to tell you, just think about what that does to your vibration. You're telling the universe what I do is not good enough. It's not good enough to accept praise or to be acknowledged for being great or moving or motivating or whatever. Quality. If you can't appreciate yourself, if you can't say hooray for me at the end of the day, neither can the universe, because you are the universe. That's right. You, Diane LaRoche Johnson, are the universe. Congratulations, it's been bestowed upon you in your sleep. You didn't know. That's the way it works. They don't tell you while you're awake. They just bestow it upon you while you're sleeping. And you don't even know. You have to find out from a third party. And I'm the third party. So congratulations, Diane. All of you watching, if you have any questions, comments, or needs, Diane LaRoche Johnson is the universe today. But so are all of you. So you know what? Leave Diane alone. She's got her own stuff to tend to. Right, Diane? So that's the way that works. You've got to really, really appreciate yourself if you expect the universe to provide. And it's not because, and please don't misunderstand, the universe is not up there thinking like a human, going, well, I'll do this as soon as she acknowledges herself or he acknowledges himself. Not that. It's not a judgment call. It's just the way energy works. You can't sit there and say, I want this for my life. This is my great vision. This is my great passion. This will make me happier than anything. And at the same time, tell yourself you don't deserve things, or that you're not good enough. You can't do both. Melanie is finding it hard to stay motivated while the kids are in holidays. All a bit overwhelming. You mean because it's constant kids all the time and it just never stops? See a lot of Facebook pictures with you and the kids. That one with your son, he was the trade up thing. Can't believe you've got him doing that kind of broadcasting already. He's going to be a powerhouse. I know you guys don't know what I'm talking about, but if you're not following Melanie, I can't be held responsible for that. I've told you to, ever since Periscope days. I can't come over there, crawl into your home, get the mouse out of your hand, find Melanie Bundock and click and follow. I can't do that for you, as much as I'd like to. Oh, how I wish that I could. Maybe one day the technology will be there that I can do that for Melanie. But right now, I'm sorry. You're going to have to do it yourself if you want to find out all about Melanie Bundock and her amazing skills and her children. There. Yeah, you get them to earn money for you instead. Awesome, Melanie. If you can do that and get them excited about it, that's fantastic. Okay, so that's what I wanted to say about to-do lists. By looking at them, and whatever your to-do list is, try it. I promise you, you will smile. You will feel better at the end of your day if you take this on. Hey, Kathy. And let me just recap what it is. With your to-do list, either with all of it or a subset of it, you pick those things that at the end of the day, if you get those things done, you are allowed to feel amazing. You are allowed to feel like you've accomplished something great. You can relax. You can do what you want to do with no guilt. Now, well, it's my pleasure. The ladies make me blush sometimes too, so it's the least I can do. Yeah. Looking at that list and going, if I get this, and I just can't tell you how much it's helped me. Just try it. Because I make a to-do list just about every day. I get on my whiteboard and I say, okay, these are the things. And now it's like there's a little subset of each of those. And I say, but if these things get done, then at 5 o'clock or whatever, I can stop and feel great. Great. Now, here's the trap, though. You can't be one of those people who says, well, everything every day has to get done for me to feel great. That's not playing the game. That's just going back to your old stuff. You're going to have to be a little bit flexible. You're going to have to be willing to let one or two of those things go. Can you do that for me? Can you just let one of those things go? Come on. Let it go. Let it go. Don't make me burst into song. All right, that's random topic number 1. You want to hear random topic number 2? Sure you do. That's why you're here. I got to work on this chroma key a little bit. Too much of an outline around my fingers. I can get it better. Still a new setup. That's right, I'm not really in front of the ocean. And there's not really a disembodied computer monitor hanging over my head. But I will say this in a minute about that. No, I have to do it now because that's just too weird. So one of the things that I will be sharing a lot... wow, Lorraine, that's a heavy question. Let me say this first. One of the things I will be sharing on this broadcast, and certainly on the Bob Doyle Show from here on out, is a lot more about virtual reality. If you've been watching my show or even listening to me talk here, I think I've talked a little bit about it. You know, virtual reality is basically, it's coming out into the mainstream with things like the Oculus Rift and the HTC Vive, and I've done several demonstrations of, you know, sort of handheld handsets that you can get for your phone, to use your phone as a virtual reality sort of headgear. And I've been playing with that for quite a while, and it's been fascinating. But Boundless Living, the company Boundless Living, my company, is I've made the decision to go in the direction of virtual reality, to have a virtual reality arm, to create virtual reality applications that will help people and also be fun. The law of attraction is all about generating the feeling of having it now, right? That's what gets you into vibrational alignment with things. So what better technology could there possibly be than virtual reality to be a tool for that? Because it's one thing to visualize, right? But some people have a problem with that. So what if you didn't have to come up with the visions in your mind? What if you could create a world that is your world, the world that you want? Put on a headset and be there. Now, this isn't about escaping into that, not experiencing in the out-of-headset world. It's about generating the feeling of having it now, being able to interact with it, to know what it feels like and looks like and sounds like. So clearly, long before I was into the law of attraction, I was interested in virtual reality. But now there's another whole application of it that I could actually do professionally and not just because it's fun. So, yeah, Brian, thank you. It's a very simple concept. So, Boundless Living will do various little titles around that. The first one we're doing, which I announced last Friday, doesn't really seem like a law of attraction application per se, and it's very nichey. It wouldn't be one of those things that you'd hear about on the news or be a big phenomenon or anything like that. It'd be for a very specific set of people. It could be for corporate use or personal development use, or just for fun at parties. Get a group together. This will be great for that too. But it's got a lot of other implications besides just fun. So I'm in the process of making that happen. And I'm at the very beginning of the process. But the first part of the process was getting the hardware, the virtual reality hardware, so I can create a prototype video demonstrating what I'm talking about to potential developers. Then I'll get a cost for what it would take to develop once I find the developer, and that may take a while. Once I get a cost, then I'll do like a Kickstarter campaign and get this sucker done. Anyway, but part of the whole point is part of virtual reality is part of this, some of the stuff that I've been playing with. Obviously, I've been immersing myself literally into some of the apps that are out there right now, and a lot of them are virtual desktops. And as I'm looking at this, it's very much like that, where you put on the headset and your desktop is floating out there in space. Huge, if you want to. Like, you can watch movies that appear bigger than IMAX. You can move using the controllers, you can move the screen away from you, up, down, curve it, the whole thing. It's just crazy. And that's just watching a movie or a video. Don't even get me started on the 360 experiences where you can, where you're in it, not just watching it. Yes, Jaunt VR, great stuff. Well, yeah, but Jaunt normally is more passive type, films, rather than like getting in there and experience type of stuff. But Jaunt, I love Jaunt, and the other one called Within, that used to be called Verse, I guess, VRSE. There's some really, really, really great stuff out there. I've been talking about it on the Bob Doyle Show for a while, and this Friday, whole new level of being able to demonstrate what it's all about now with the Vive. It's crazy, and it's been what my week has been about getting it configured to work in this room. Anyway, so that's some exciting stuff, but I say that because of the whole monitor thing floating in space, because I've been living in that world where the monitor is like huge above me. All right, so that's all I'll say about that for now. But one of the things I will be doing on this weekly thing, is probably doing 5 to 10 minute little feature, maybe not every week, but every few weeks or so, when I find an app that I think would be helpful to people who are in the law of attraction conversation, trying to get clear on their vision, or just trying to expand creative options, or whatever, for whatever reason, if I think it's helpful. Let me go back and I can't tell if someone's knocking on my door or not. Nima has written a question. How do you distinguish between intuition and gut feeling of fear and new experience? Let me see if I understand that correct. The question. The whole thing about recognizing intuition is a common question. How do you know if it's intuition or something else, like fear or resistance or your ego or whatever? And generally speaking, that's something I can't define for you specifically, because you're your own person. It's going to feel, I think, different for you. But one of the things I found about intuition is that it doesn't really feel bad. It's a very clear signal, and I mean, it may not be like you just know it's intuition, because clearly that's the whole nature of your question is how do you know? But generally, the voice in your head that comes to you, whether if it's resistance, it's going to feel limiting. It's going to feel like, see, you can't do that. It's going to have a different vibe than intuition, which, while it may not be 100% clear why it's telling you to do that, it's not going to be, and it may stretch you out of your comfort zone. Absolutely. It totally, absolutely will. So there will be that little bit of discomfort as you move towards your vision, because that's the very nature of moving from where you are into a space that's bigger, because, you're out of your comfort zone. So that'll feel a little bit strange, but it's more like it's just an overall feeling. But the point is you have to kind of trust it. You just have to test it a couple of times to see, because if you're just getting started with it, you won't really know. And so that's, I've told my story about that far too many times to tell it again. But it's just like, well, here's a new thought, or here's a new experience. I'm focused on my vision right now. I'm doing the law of attraction work. And now this situation has come up. It's pretty out of the ordinary. This isn't something that normally happens. It doesn't feel wrong. It doesn't make me feel limited. Maybe I should just act on this, even though it doesn't necessarily immediately seem to have anything to do with whatever my goals are, or my dreams, or my vision are. I'm going to do this just because it's there for me to do. No harm, no foul. And just try that and see what happens. See if that moves you towards it. We can talk a lot longer about, intuition, but that's a quick answer. So here's my other little, here's another little tidbit I'm just throwing out at you. Another question you can ask yourself. And here it is. How often do you tell your story? And I have that in quotes. Tell your story. The story that goes like, man, I'm just so stuck. I just keep hitting the same thing. Or, these people at work, if I could just, if it weren't for these people, I could advance. Things could happen. If it weren't for that guy over there. Or, I'm just so sick all the time. I'd do more if I just felt better. Or these things constantly happen to me, or whatever. Your story. This is an actual question I'm asking you. Hang on just a second, Rye. Or Ree. How often do you tell your story to people? It doesn't feel at the time that you're complaining necessarily, but you are reaffirming a limiting story that you're telling yourself. I don't care how much evidence that you have that it's quote unquote true. How often do you tell your story? Not just to yourself, but to other people. I just want you to think about this. Think about what you're up to in your life. Think about what you want to be up to that's not happening, and what are your stories that you tell around it, and how often do you tell those? How attached to those stories are you? I'm not saying you don't want those stories. I'm not saying that you do not, I'm not saying that you want those stories to be true, and that you would rather have them not be a part of your life, but if you keep telling them, you keep affirming them. Let's see. Lorraine says, I got my mother staying with me for 4 days tomorrow, but she is so negative energy. Any tips to help get me through it? All you can do is keep smiling. Look, the negative energy draw thing about like other people taking you down, you have to allow them to do that. End of story. The whole thing with energy vampires, that whole I'm going to attack you and suck your energy out, only if you let them. Now with parents and relatives, it's easy to do that. There's this sense of almost like obligation, like I need to feel your pain. Because of who you are, I need to respect that you feel that way and be brought into that. That's nonsense. And it doesn't serve anybody. Now, if a person is negative and their goal really is to bring you in to their negativity, and then you don't come in, it only makes them more angry and negative. If that's what you're worried about, again, it's still ultimately your choice. But just recognize that it's their need to have agreement. It's their stuff, and it doesn't serve you or them to come down to their level. You can ignore negative people. You can simply, here's what I've done, and I've told this, and I've done this with really close friends. So, and maybe you've already done this, but what I say is it's about setting boundaries. If anybody starts going down a negative road, I just stop them and say, hey, look, I love hanging out with you. I love doing whatever. Just say something positive. And then say, but this type of conversation doesn't do anybody any good. And it really just makes me feel bad, and I really can't do anything for you about this. And you really kind of seem to be committed to being negative, so I would just prefer that you and I don't talk about this. And let's find something that we can talk about that you feel good about, Because I really don't need to be brought into this, and I don't deserve it. Some version of that. All right, I'm going to have to cheat, because I can't see. Sorry. Oh, what happened? Oh, my screen went black there for a second. I do my story sometimes. I try to notice and think that I'm 100% responsible. What can I do to change it? Not always good at reframing, though. Okay, so I was just asking how often you tell your story. Because if you do catch yourself telling that story, first of all, catching it is the good idea. And the best thing to do is just to stop talking. Just stop talking. Notice that you're doing it and make the choice to stop talking. I'm not even saying you have to go back and reframe it right away. Just stop the conversation, and you can think about how you might reframe it later. But in the moment, just go, oh, doing it again, going to stop. Change the subject completely. Because again, it's about creating new patterns. You're going to have to create a pattern interrupt because that story is habitual and it comes out all the time. Catching it is the first step. Stopping it is the second step. You have to make a conscious effort to stop it every time it comes up. And then, of course, yes, find a replacement thought. So it depends on what your story is, what that replacement thought would be, So that would be specific to your situation. Angie says, Bob, would it help to just talk to the person who's very negative and say that they have a choice to be negative or positive, and say that I have a choice. I want to be. Wait, gosh, sorry, I just can't. It's all just a blur. And say to I have a choice if I want to be around that negative. Okay, I'm sorry, I'm just not understanding that exactly, but I can tell you this: no negative person likes to be told that they have a choice. They don't. Because when they're being negative, the last thing they want to be told is to be positive. Don't you all know that that's true from experience? When's the last time you were really in a bad place and somebody said, that's a choice. You can choose to be positive, that you went, you're right. Oh, thank you. No, you wanted to throw something at them, didn't you? Admit it. Admit it. I'm going to sit here till you admit it. So telling people how to feel, terrible idea. Never do it. Don't ever tell somebody how they should feel. Now, if you're addressing a group and you're saying, if you're talking about the benefits of feeling positive most of the time, then fine, But I'm talking about when you're in a situation with somebody and they're being a certain way and you don't like it, you telling them to change the way they feel is a guaranteed way just to irritate the crap out of them and make it worse for both of you. So Salcedo says, how do you ignore or deal with a very annoying boss? Well, see, that's what you want is a really simple answer. However, life is not always that simple. You're there at that job for a reason. Now, do you love that job? Is everything about the job great except for the boss? Or is the boss just one part of the job that you're not so thrilled about or whatever? Again, it's ultimately up to setting boundaries. You can't change the annoying boss's behavior. You can't. The annoying boss needs to be annoying for his or her own reasons. And it's the only thing you can do is manage your perception. If you cannot handle being around an annoying boss, guess what? You get to leave. You don't get to tell him to stop being annoying. Now, you could have a conversation and say, hey, look, this behavior that you do is giving me a problem because of whatever. But if you know that for a fact that they're not open to that conversation, then, then it's up to you. It's your responsibility. You have to mind your own vibration. So you have to either just say, well, you know what? I mean, it doesn't. Because why? Because do you feel some sense of obligation to be annoyed by him because he is your boss? Or she? I don't know. But you do have the right to ask to be treated in a certain way. But they also have the right to say, nope, not going to do that. I'm going to be how I'm going to be. At that point, you have a choice. I didn't say it was going to be an easy choice. You know, another answer that a lot of people would tell you is just send him love and light. Just send him love and light, and, you know, you keep smiling and send them love and light. So you can try that. How long did it take me to fully put the LOA into practice? Well, that's an interesting question. Because, you know, first of all, obviously the law of attraction is always working, so it's not like I turned it on. And it's also not like I go around 24 hours a day doing everything I quote unquote should be doing to work with it flawlessly. I'm a human being just like most of you. So, you know, but once it really clicked for me back in 2002 about what it was and how that you're not off the grid and that every little thought, every little feeling communicates something. You can't hide from the universe. And that the things that you say to yourself or others mean nothing compared to what you're really feeling and knowing inside. Once I got that, that's when it really clicked for me. Because this whole half-assed approach to the law of attraction where people talk a big game, but they don't, it's just like people who, I've said this before, and it's thin ice, but here we go. But there's a lot of people who do the religious thing. You know, they're all religious. Except when it's not convenient. Right? Well, I'm not going to do that today. Or I'll use this language, whatever it is. Whatever hypocritical behavior that is not in alignment with the rules set forth by that religion. So most people do that. There's not that many people who really just, you know, follow it. But it's the same thing with the law of attraction. You can't cheat it, guys. You can't, you know. But the thing is that it doesn't mean that you're going to have to be perfect all the time. You're not going to be. You're going to have bad days. You're going to have days where your vibration is whacked. And things may show up a little whacked for you. But the gift is that we know what's going on. We notice it. We can see that the universe or our experience of reality is a reflection of what's going on in us. So if things start falling apart, it's an invitation for us to look inside and go, not what's broken out there, what's broken in here? How am I attracting this? What can I do differently? How can I take responsibility for my own interpretation of this situation that I've got right now? Because as soon as you call the boss annoying, because the truth is you are annoyed by the boss. The boss isn't doing the annoying. You're being annoyed. Awareness is key, yes. And that's like in everything I've said here today. You know, that telling your story, how being aware of how you tell your story. And you don't even think about it. To you, it's just the truth. Well, here's how it is for me. Here's why I'm not where I need to be. Stop telling the story. We get it. You'd rather be somewhere else. Now, why don't you start telling the story of your success? Why don't you start telling the story of what you've done that day to move you closer to where you want to be instead of why you can't get there because of whatever. Write a new freaking story. Autumn's here. You tried that and got fired anyway. Well, okay, so you got fired. You find a job where the boss isn't annoying. Look, guys, I'm so sorry, but when it comes to what you do for a living every single day, I'm not big on compromise. I could never again go into a situation where I mostly like it, but there's a thing there that annoys me every day, because that's not my dream job. Then I know I'm not in the right place. The lesson I have to learn from that annoying person is time to move on. Let's go find or create my own thing. That's my lesson. For you, it may be I'm going to learn how to love this annoying person. That's the evolutionary growth that you have there. For me, it would be like, no, I've compromised. I'm at this place for the money, not because I love every aspect of it or whatever. I don't know, Autumn. Everybody's thing is different. All I know is if somebody fired Autumn McGrath, well, it's their loss. Yeah. Yes, LOA practice is a daily exercise, even when you reach it yourself. Yeah, there's no resting on your law of attraction laurels. I tried that. Didn't work. Bad idea. I didn't actually make the decision. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to rest on my laurels. But there was clearly some amount of complacency that hit me around 2008. And I will not be doing that anymore. And what I certainly won't be doing anymore is compromising what I do every day, you know. If I don't love it, that's not to say that, you know, there's something. But in terms of my profession, every day, if the, you know, like if there's elements of it that I don't like, I figure out a way to get rid of those elements or get somebody else to deal with those elements. Or the elephants. Denise is here. Are you listening in your car, Denise, or are you actually watching? It was a while ago. Well, good. I mean, when I say good, I mean I assume that means that you're employed now. Wow, it's only 9 more minutes and this is over. I've still got 3 more topics I was going to throw out. What's the best things to start off getting the LOA to work for you for people who are new to this? Okay, Lorraine, let's take a step back. The LOA is working for you. It's you who needs to work for you. Let's make that very clear. Okay? The LOA is functioning properly at all times. It doesn't break. It's working for you exactly. So it's you that needs to be giving it the right, you know, more consistent information. So the very first thing you have to do is get clarity. Hi, Emily. Emily, I was cruising through Instagram today because I haven't in a while. And I saw this whole sleep hookup thing you were doing. I'm very curious as to what that was all about. Love of art. Law of attraction. But I'll take love of art too. Good. You're happy with your job and happy with the company. Just continue looking for something positive in the boss. Yeah, and yeah, that's good too. Or you can send her love and light. Anyway. Well, I forgot what I was saying now. Emily came in and said love of art, and I got all wiggity whack. Well, anyway. Lungs or arms? Lungs or arms? Wow, LOA. Autumn. See, I keep forgetting you're pretty funny in there. How can I stop to feel ashamed for dream about have a big and beautiful house when I live surrender of goose people cannot do it. I think what you might be saying is how can you not feel guilty for wanting a big house because you think that good people can't have good big houses or something like that? Like you've got a belief or you've learned that if you're what's the word I'm looking for? Virtuous or whatever, you wouldn't want the big house or the whatever. Is that what we're talking about? Oh, wow. I did not know that, Emily. Well, that's interesting. It's still interesting. Yes. So, look, the whole thing about, and that's a massive deserving thing. I mean, if you really feel like success and getting something nice and beautiful for yourself is a bad thing, then that's a core belief that it would probably be good to, and you probably have some idea of where that belief came from. You were either taught it explicitly, like by a parent or whatever, but I'm sure that you can look out in the world and see that there are plenty of good people who live in abundance, who do wonderful things for people, who've changed the world. And they have changed the world because they've been able to, because of their abundance. So there's no logic. There's no logic or truth to the idea that having a lot of abundance is a bad thing. However, if that belief system is in you and you don't resolve it, it will stop you, clearly. But a lot of times, see, it's just that your ego has taken control of that belief and made it seem super real and now made you feel guilty for wanting what you want. But again, just look in, sometimes it's just so simple to expose the ego for the liar that it is. Just look in the world and you'll see plenty of good people who have lots of money and big houses and all that stuff. And you'll find lots of jerks too. You'll also find lots of jerks who don't have a lot of money. You'll find a lot of real terrible people who do not live in big houses. That's what I'm saying. It doesn't make a person good or bad because they have or have not. It's who they are. What are they doing in the world? Who are they being? It has nothing at all to do with what you have. So you can see that. You know this. Just know it more. Like, get it in, like, say it out loud. Write it down. Do something. You got to override the program that's running in your mind where your ego's saying it's bad, because it's clearly not. It's clearly not. You don't even have to be super intelligent to see that. So the ego gets in there, and because it's living in here, it feels so real and authoritative. And it has pieces of voices of parents and teachers and all sorts of other authority figures that you've either loved or respected or feared or whatever, who have caused that belief to make impact and get seated in there. But there's no logic in it at all. It's nonsense. And I'm not saying that to insult you, because I understand that's, you're dealing with a belief system that's got a hold of you. But you can regain control. Let's see. Sometimes I feel like I must be grateful and do not ask for more, but inside of me I really want a big house. Not huge, but a beautiful one. And there's nothing wrong with that. So Marcella, one of the things that to get clear on is why you want that. And you may be clear, but sometimes it's like, what part of the house, what part of your overall vision for what you want in your life and who you want to be does that house play? Like, it's not really enough to just want a big house. There's a reason. It's going to give you a feeling, some kind of a feeling that's going to make you, hopefully, a better version of you. A you that can contribute more or be more of who you are. Have more fun, enjoy the experience of your life more. There's pieces of this that make you think, well, I want that big house. And I'm not saying that you don't. I'm just saying that the more clarity as to why you want that big house and who that person, who that version of Marcel is going to be when they live in that house, that's it. They finally got to it. When you envision, like you say, like Denise said, act as if you already have your dream house. Also be clear on who you're going to be. And part of that vision, now listen to me very carefully. When you're visualizing that big house, visualize you being a really good person in it. So don't just visualize the house. Visualize who Marcella is and the good you're doing in the world and as part of being in that big house. So you can see, hey, the future of me in that house isn't me being a bad person. It's being a good person. You get to decide that. And if you've got people in your life who judge you poorly because you have a big house, well, then that's their stuff, Marcella, not yours. You're going to keep yourself down because of what other people say, because of other people's limitations. Lots of people do that. I'm inviting you not to. I'm inviting you and everybody not to do that. Oh, and we do it. We do it so much. We limit ourselves for the protection of other people's feelings. So we can both play small and not have what we want and die in regret. Ooh, that was harsh. Truth hurts. Sometimes. But the truth can also be a wake-up call, my friends. Today is the day to start. Because yesterday, well, you had other things going on. Maybe you started yesterday. I don't know. But if you're not doing it yet, it's time to get busy. And it's fun. Creating your life is fun. Creating your vision is fun. It's not a chore. And you get to create whatever version of yourself you want to be in that vision. Right? So you don't have to worry about being a bad person. Create yourself as a good person. You can even create being surrounded by people who celebrate who you are and your success. You can do all of that. That's the beauty of this whole thing. Is you actually have full control as long as you allow yourself to have it. Oh, look at that. Denise just popped up. We got a big always stay humble. That sign obviously never watches the Bob Doyle show. The same people won't help us anyway. That's right. The people who are giving you crap about following your dream or whatever, they're not going to help you. I'm not saying you have to cut them out of your life. but you can cut their influence out. Their ability to stop you from doing what you are here to do. Just because something stopped them from doing what they're here to do does not mean whoever they are in your life, whether they're your mom, your dad, your spouse, your kids, if you know why you're here and you know what you need to go do, you have to go do it and let them deal with whatever happens as a result. You're on your path, not theirs. All right, everybody. Friday, noon, you know what to do. Bob Doyle Show, right on the BobDoyleShow.com. This is BobDoyleShow.com. Probably won't have a replacement mug by then. I don't know. Anyway, let's rally the troops for next Wednesday, folks. I don't know what happened. It's not a big turnout today. Is it a holiday? I don't think it's a holiday. All right. I'm going to go. I want you all to have, as soon as I figure out how to do that, I want you all to have a very wonderful rest of the day. I'll see you on Friday, and if I don't see you Friday, all right. But I'll see you next Wednesday. Toodles.